Lafayette computerized polygraph machine. So it's a modern polygraph that uses computerized polygraph instrument. It's common both in a desktop model for polygraph examinations administered in the office and in a laptop model for travel, as you see in this picture. How does this polygraph instrument work? The polygraph simultaneously records various physiological phenomena by means of horizontal chemograph. The resulting polygram indicates tracing of external respiration in the thoracic and abdominal cavities by means of a pneumograph tambour assembly, systolic and diastolic contraction of the heart, as well as pulse fluctuations with the resistance of a sphygmomanometer and psychogalvanic skin response by means of electrodes to the person's fingers. So each phenomenon is recorded by a hollow tube ink styles moving across horizontally and vertically ruled being driven by a synchronous electronic motor. The physiological changes within the examinee's bodies are monitored by the following polygraph attachments. First is the respiratory rate. Two rubber tubes filled with air called pneumograph. So these are placed around the examinee's chest and abdomen. When the chest or abdomen muscles expands, the air inside the tube is displaced. So the computerized polygraph machine employs transducers to convert the energy of the displaced air into electronic signals. Blood pressure or heart rate. So a blood pressure cuff is placed around the examinee's upper arm. Tubing runs from the cuff to the polygraph. Again, these signals are converted into electronic signals by transducers. The galvanic skin resistance, so it's also called electrodermal activity, and is basically a measure of sweat on the subject's fingertips. So the fingertips are one of the poorest area in the body and therefore are a good place to look for sweat. So the theory is that we sweat more when we are placed under stress. So finger electrodes are attached to the two of the examinee's fingers. So these electrodes measures the skin ability to conduct electricity. And when the skin is hydrated, as with the sweat, it conducts electricity much more easily than when it is dry. So now, what are the major components of the polygraph instruments? First, the pneumograph component. This component occupies two upper pens of the instrument, which records the thoracic and abnormal breathing patterns of respiration. So this is accomplished through the use of a pneumograph consisting of two hollow corrugated tubes about 7 inches in length, each attached to a unit by a rubber hose not longer than 6 feet and not larger than 1/4 inch in diameter. This breathing or pneumo unit is a low pressure unit. The inhalation and exhalation of the subject causes the tubes to expand and contract, thereby reflecting the change through bellows to the pen into the chart. And for the galvanograph components, so this is the longest and the third pen of the instrument. The electrodes are attached to the index finger and the ring finger of the left hand, or to the palmar and dorsal surfaces of the left hand. So the electrodes used for obtaining the recording of the galvanic skin response or electrodermal responses are fastened to the hand or finger by means of the passage of an imperceptible amount of electrical current through the hand or finger bearing the attached electrode. So a galvanometer unit provides usually the variation in the flow of the electrical current. So for the cardiograph component, this is the fourth and the bottom pen of the instrument. So this cardio unit is a mechanically operated unit. It is a high pressure system. So this system records changes in mean blood pressure, rate, and strength of pulse beat by means of a medical blood pressure cuff containing a rubber bladder that is wrapped around the upper arm in a manner that places the bladder against the brachial artery. So the bladder is connected to the rubber hose, passed as a pressure indicating gauge to a very sensitive bolus and its connected level system that powers the pen. Okay, and for the chemograph component, this is the chart drive recording unit of the instruments. It has a synchronized motor that drives the charts at the rate of 6 to 12 inches per minute, and its speed's constant is vital because the vertical lines, which are spaced either at 1/2 of an inch interval, it represents 5 or 10 interval on the chart. So what are the detachable parts of the polygraph instrument? First is the finger electrodes and blood pressure cuff. And second is the pneumo tube 1 and the pneumo tube 2. And now what are the built-in accessories of the polygraph instruments? Of course, the chemograph or chart reading mechanism. It's the chart roll arbor, the idler ruler, the paint table paper guides, the sprocket ruler, the cutter bar, the off and on power switch, and the synchronous move on. Also the pen and inking system, where the capillary pen, the ink well plates, ink dropper, and cup bell. And of course the pneumograph section, the rubber jellos, beaded chain, rubber flexible tubing, the pneumograph connecting tube, the pneumograph distributing ink, pneumograph pipeline, vent valve and vent bottom, tambour assembly, sphygmomanometer, and the resonance control. And for the cardio section, it's the pulp valve assembly, the blood pressure pump connection, the blood pressure cuff assembly, the connector block, and the sphygmomanometer pipeline. And for the galvanograph section, it's the finger electrodes, the electrogellos, and the galvanometer. Since the polygraph examination uses the polygraph instrument as the device used for the recording of the results, so we have a necessary consideration for an effective polygraph testing. Hence, all its components and accessories must be operational and functional, so the examiner should check the sensors or the transducers attached to the body of the subject. Now, what are these instruments that is considered for an effective polygraph testing? So first is the pneumograph tube. So it is fastened to the subject's chest and abdomen through the beaded chain. Blood pressure cuff. So the same type used by the physicians is fastened on the subject's upper right arm or the biceps. For the finger electrode, so it's fastened also to the left index and rings fingers of the subject. The parts and functions of these instruments are as follows. The pen lifter, it raises or lowers the pen to 3 positions. The chart drive or the module, it propels the chart paper at the rate of 6 to 12 inches per minute. It is also known as a chemograph. The paper tear bar, so it provides cutting edge for removal of the charts. And also the mechanical pneumo module, so it's a recording part of mechanical pneumo channel. And then the chart drive ruler lever, so it lifts chart drive ruler for papers, changes, and chart removal. For the sphygmomanometer dial, so it reads the operating pressure of cardio channel. The pneumo 1, it's the pneumatic connection for upper thoracic pneumograph. For pneumo 2, it's the pneumatic connection also for lower abdominal pneumograph. And the cuff, it's the connection for cardio channel subject cuff tubing. The pump, it's the connection for hand pumps used to inflate subject cuff. And the centering control, it's position pen on chart, so rotating clockwise raises the pen, while rotating counterclockwise lowers it, so it operates similarly on all channels. And then the sensitivity control, it determines the tracing size, the amplitudes. The rotating clockwise increases the size and the counterclockwise decreases the size. The GSR or the galvanic skin response mode switch, it selects the operating mode for GSR channel, manual or automatic. And the GSR input connector, it accepts plug from GSR subject attachments cords. And the cardio lock lever, so it immobilizes mechanical cardio mechanism when not in use. And of course, the examiner should also familiarize himself with the control mechanism of the polygraph instruments. The resonance control, so it allows you to clear up or make a better pattern when you have too much pulse pressure of the subjects. And the hand electrode, so this is fastened to the hand by a stretch band. Function is to make electrical contact with the subject. And the panel control, so it allows the operator to control or adjust the operation of the galvanograph. And of course, these other 5 other important controls: the off and on power switch, the subject's resistance control, the reactivity control, the self-centered normal switch, and of course, the self-centering mode. For the control of cardiosphygmograph section, there's this manual centering knob. It's used to place cardio in its proper place on the charts, and the vent valve, it's used to let atmospheric pressure into the system and used to release pressure all parts of the pressure. And the resonance control, it is used to decrease the amplitude of the cardio tracing and used to sharpen the diacrotic notch. And for the control of the pneumograph section, the manual centering knob, it used to position baseline of the pneumo tracing on the upper heavy horizontal line, and the vent. With the vent down, the system is closed and non-operative. So with the vent up, the system is open and ready to use. So the uses of the vent is, of course, to stop the pen between the test and to prevent possible tumble assembly, and of course to prevent pin from possible jump by moving up or down in one place of the chart paper, and to stop pen during the tube adjustment, and to assist in gaining amplitude, and of course to let the atmospheric enter into the system. Of course, the basis to all that has been said with regard to the utilization and accuracy of the polygraph technique is in the matter of the examiner's qualifications and skills. So the followings are the examiner's must-be qualification.